Information. Arguing for the end of adult marijuana prohibition is easy because we have facts, science, reason, compassion, evidence, truth, and logic on our side. It is even easier when researchers catalog it all for us. Learn how to gather the facts on marijuana use, arrests, seizures, rehabs, drug tests, and more in this edition of Drug War Data Mining. Welcome back, everyone. 22 and a half after the hour, and we're continuing up our first couple of lessons that have produced this little mini spreadsheet that we use for election results. We've got the 4 states that voted on statewide initiatives regarding marijuana, and the total number of yes votes, total number of no votes, and we've calculated formulas to figure out what the percentage of yes was, basically the yes votes divided by adding all the votes together. And we also came up with a formula for the difference in yes and no votes, the simple subtraction of the yes vote from the no vote. We've also managed to take those 2 formulas and distribute them by copying them down using what I call the copy dot in the bottom right corner there. That just copies formulas down for you. But now we're to the point where this data needs to be formatted. Formats just mean making it look pretty. So we've got some techniques that we can use to make this data look just a little bit prettier, all composed up here on the main home ribbon in Microsoft Excel. And by the way, a lot of these techniques are also available through OpenOffice and similar programs. You may just have to find the menu item that corresponds, but you can do a lot of the same things. First thing we'd like to do is to make the votes here stand out with, maybe some comma separators in there for the thousands. Make it a little easier to read that stuff. It's a great little button up there. Looks like a comma. It's called comma style. And when you do that, you're going to get commas indeed for the thousands and the millions, but you also get 2 decimal places. Don't really need those because you're not going to get fractional votes. Right below the comma on the next row, there's a couple of little buttons for reducing decimals and increasing and decreasing. If you pick the decrease there a couple times, you'll reduce that so you're getting just the commas you're looking for. In a similar manner, you can get percentages of the vote by just clicking the little percent button up there at the top. It'll default to no decimal places. Maybe you want a little more accuracy. You can increase a couple of times if you want to see more accuracy to the vote there. And notice how it rounds. So like the Oregon vote's 56%. At 1 decimal point, it's still 56%. But once you get to 2 decimal points, there's enough accuracy to show that it was really 55.98%. And for the difference, again, we'd probably want to use the comma here and reduce that a couple of decimal places. Now, as we look at this spreadsheet, you may want to adjust maybe the centering of the labels along the top. Centering's pretty easy. You can just highlight a few of those things and click a little center button up there at the top. Easy stuff to do. And now it's starting to kind of run off my screen. There's a great little trick you can use where if you want to set columns to the exact right size, you can highlight those columns, like those 5 columns there. And then between any 2 columns, you see how that little pointer changes to a double arrow? When you see that double arrow, just double click. And that'll change the sizes to all, perfect fit, I guess you could call it. Now, along the bottom here, would be nice perhaps if we had some totals. I thought it might be interesting to know, statewide, what was the total vote for marijuana in the 4 states that we just had in this election. Now, a lot of you will understand that there's a formula we can use for this called sum. And anytime you want to do math calculations, you always have to start with an equal sign. And then you can type sum and parenthesis. And what goes in the parentheses is the numbers you want to sum up. And just like we used our mouse to set up these figures, these formulas, we can do the same thing, but instead of separate clicks, we're going to do a click and drag. Click and drag that whole amount. You get this address, B2 through B5, close that, enter that, you got your total. You could also copy that across if you wanted to get what the total was for no, and it will change that formula. But there's a quicker way that you can get sum formulas. If you've got some places that you want summed up, like in these 2 cells here, we'd like totals for the columns up above them. Just highlight those 2 cells, and there's this great button up in the far right side. Looks like the Greek letter sigma. It's called Auto Sum. Click that button. Bam! It fills the sums in for you with the proper formulas. Now, we'll do some table formatting on this, change some colors, use some gradient shadings, all sorts of other ways of making this data look a lot prettier. But for now, we've got our number format set up, we've got our total formulas, our percentages, and our differences. It's your drug war data mining for basic Excel election reporting. You can find parts 1 and 2 available at my YouTube page, youtube.com/radicalruss.